I was going back and I'm continuing this whole path of reading all these articles. And this one is pretty cool. So back when this article was written in July of 21, I didn't know this person really, really well. Today, he's a client of ours. His company's expanded like crazy, multi-million-dollar organization. And he's a super close friend of mine, Glenn Borochaner. So he runs a company called Newtown Termite Pest Control out of Pennsylvania. And I was reading his article on how to exceed customer expectations. And there's one point he calls out here that, I mean, I like all of it, but the one point he calls out here, and I'm gonna read this verbatim: treat every house like it belongs to your mother. That means being extra careful to make sure you leave the home in the condition you found it, or even better. Pro tip, invest in booties to put over your shoes so you don't track in dirt. So when I read this, I don't know how you guys all grew up, but I grew up with a pretty humble household. And in my house, I remember when we moved to our home in Brandon, is we had that room that you would sit in and there was plastic on the furniture. So I don't know if you guys had that, but we had that room. And we would only take the plastic off when people would come over, and my mom would never let us in this room. And as I was reading this, I started thinking about it. I was like, I wonder how my mom felt when we had our pest control guy come over. And at the time we could do one-time services, and we treated it a little different than you do today. But I started to think about how my mom felt when that guy walked into that room and walked around that furniture with the plastic on it. If my mom was going, oh boy, don't mess up the furniture, don't mess up the furniture. I don't remember if she followed him around, but knowing my mom, she probably did. And knowing me and my brothers and sisters, there's 100% chance that we used to take that plastic off and go eat on those couches just for fun. But I think Glenn makes a really strong point here, is that if you can teach your technicians to have such respect for the customer when they're in person and be there for them and treat them as if they're a family member, there's really no chance you could ever lose. I had a really interesting kind of comment made about this outside of this article one time. And one of the other companies I'm fortunate enough to support, they have a rule in their organization. The rule in their organization, and I don't necessarily know if I agree with it, but I think in their market it works really well, is that if you go to a customer's house and they ask you to sit down and have a cup of coffee with them, you're obligated to sit down and have a cup of coffee, even if it hurts your production. And that's actually a rule of one of the companies that I'm fortunate enough to support. And I don't know if I like it from a production standpoint, but I do love it from a human standpoint. And I think that all kind of ties together with what Glenn's saying here. It is kind of interesting to think about 2.5 years ago when Glenn wrote that, or when we interviewed Glenn and this article got written, and about how many millions of dollars his organization has added ever since. And I feel really, really fortunate to support these guys, and I feel really, really fortunate to go back and read this thing, because it really, really touches a special place. So if you guys want to go read the whole article, I would highly recommend doing it. If you guys know Glenn, I would tag him in here, and he's a great guy. So don't play him in golf, because he'll kick your ass, especially you, Rusty. So anyway, y'all have a good one, and I'll see you guys soon.